Stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Junior Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on turned on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance, but Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. Not much has gone right for the Tigers. Bournemouth in front in the 5th minute. Charlie Downs with a cool finish after Junior Stanislas's free kick struck a post. Bournemouth dominated, but Hull City back on terms on 34 minutes. Ryan Mason with a deflected 25-yarder gave Artur Boruc no chance. But Cook with a power header latching onto Stanislas's free kick restored Bournemouth's lead with 4 minutes to go to the break, and Stanislas himself coolly slotted a penalty on the stroke of half-time. Half-time at the Vitality Stadium is Bournemouth 3, Hull. Well, a warm welcome back to our coverage of this Premier League clash, which seemingly only going one way, pretty much from the off. Just amazing that for a while Hull were actually back on level terms. Amazing because Bournemouth did take the lead as early as the 5th minute, never really looked in trouble. Obviously had chances to double their advantage before Ryan Mason got Hull back on terms with a deflected shot from range. They might have had a penalty just before that, actually, but then once it was back on terms, Bournemouth again assumed control, went back in front in the 41st minute. Cook with a header from a Stanislas free kick, and then Stanislas converted a penalty. I thought it was a bit harsh personally. Snodgrass challenge on Wilson in the box. Second half has got underway. Doesn't look as though either side has made any changes, but I suppose Stanislas is a candidate for man of the match.
Well, 100%. He had a huge impact in the first 2 goals, put the penalty away as well, which was a really calm and very well-placed penalty, good penalty from him. So he was brilliant in the first half, but it's whether Hull can react now, because if Hull take the game to Bournemouth like they did in a couple of spells during the game, it could be a tough one as a ball comes in from Maloney, headed up in the air by Francis and dealt with by Daniels. But it's the sort of game now where I can't really see a way back in for Hull, but it depends how they react to what Mike Phelan said at half-time.
Here's Lucas driving the ball towards the box, but just showed a little bit too much of it to Cook in the end, and it's cleared away. But it's a good start to the second half. Well, admittedly, it's only a minute old, but there's a bit of intensity, a bit of positivity. Those cross wires there between Snodgrass and Keane. Bournemouth have it back, and their first real possession of the second half. No changes at the break, incidentally. I didn't see any come on, that's for sure, which is surprising given the way I didn't rate any of the Hull players at all, but Mike Phelan has sent them out again. No surprise that Hull haven't made any changes. I suppose good news for them. Harry Arter picked up a knock. Seemingly okay.
Yeah, exactly that. He managed to get himself up, and it did look a bit of a concern when he's down holding just below his knee. You're worried whether it's a ligament thing or a bang to the kneecap or something, but he's okay. He's back on the pitch now as Bournemouth come forward with Callum Wilson.
Down the left-hand side is Jordan Ibe into the box, cuts onto his right foot, blocked away by Maguire. A little bit greedy on that occasion. The layoff from Keane, not quite good enough for Snodgrass, but the challenge from Cook has gone into touch, so it'll be a throw-in to Hull. Only just inside their own half. Mike Phelan on his feet now, patrolling at his technical area. It just reminded the other scores. Arsenal 2, Swansea 1, Man City 0, Everton 0, Stoke 2, Sunderland 0. And there's a game that's
West Brom 0, Tottenham 0.
West Brom 0, Tottenham 0. That's right, yeah, and of course our game first had the most goals. Bournemouth 3, Hull 1. The early game finished Chelsea 3, Leicester 0. Crystal Palace take on West Ham in the late game. We'll be providing coverage of that game as well, so stay with us for that. Here come Hull, trying to make this one an actual game, but it's Keane has again undersold his pass. Maloney the target, but he's undersold. There's no pressure to get that pass wrong, but he has. And now Bournemouth are breaking with Smith down the right-hand side. Stanislas has gone in field. He's trying to take on 2 defenders there, but in the end that's one too many. But Stanislas almost won the ball back. Poor clearance has actually fallen the way of Jack Wilshere. 25 yards out, squared to Harry Arter. Plenty of Hull defenders ahead of him. Sideways pass to Daniels, who has Jordan Ibe hugging the touchline. Feints the former Liverpool player now, who this time tries to go around the outside of El Mohammadi. Checks back, then goes again towards the byline. Checks onto his right now, crosses in towards the far post. Headed clear by Robertson, helped further away by Keane. But that's a good challenge from Francis to win it back. And now it's Smith down the right-hand side. Tries to drill in a low cross. Here it's blocked by Sean Maloney. It's gone behind. And it will be Bournemouth's first set-piece situation. Their first corner of the second half.
Yeah, good work as well down that right-hand side. Stanislas and Smith seem to be, they're working well together and they're causing plenty of problems. Andrew Robertson does not look comfortable at all. Cross wasn't great. They've got a corner out of it. Opportunity to get the big men forward. Steve Cook, I'm sure, will be sniffing around once again. And a chance, maybe for Bournemouth to get a fourth.
Yeah, Jordan Ibe stood on the keeper. Wilson stood on the near post. They're the two in the 6-yard box. Can't quite see the overall picture. Wilson's just backed away a little bit. Deliveries towards the far post. Oh, and it's a header, power header from Cook again. Tipped over the bar by Marshall. Excellent save, another corner.
Yeah, very good save. I mean, it's straight at Marshall, which helps him. He sees it all the way. It's a good save. He gets both hands onto it and tips it over the crossbar. It's a good header as well. Steve Cook manages to elude Curtis Davis. Decent header. I think anywhere other than at Marshall, that hits the back of the net. Good save.
Yeah, good save. Delivery deeper to the far post. Ibe's kept it in though. Tries to take on his man on. He's dispossessed. They'll try and break out. There's a little bit of confusion in the middle there, but somehow they work it between the midfield. They're almost getting each other's way. Cleared away and looking for Keane, but Francis has got the run on him and goes back to his keeper. Boric clears as the game enters the 51st minute. The whole start of the second half pretty well, but first good chance of the second period has gone the way of the home side. 3-1 up, of course, after an impressive first half performance in the main. Callum Wilson, ooh, he thought he'd dispossessed Maguire legally. The referee says not, and it's a free kick to Hull just inside the Bournemouth half. They've gone square over to the left hand side. Robertson bringing it forward as it finds Maloney. It's two Scotland internationals combining. I wouldn't say they've combined particularly well in this game down the left. Certainly not as well as the two that they're up against in Smith and Stanislas. But there's a bit of space now as Mason comes to offer a third option. And he gets it off Maloney. Goes deep towards the far post and beyond into the crowd. And that's going to be a goal kick to Bournemouth. I mentioned Ibe's delivery wasn't especially good all the time, but Hull's is worse.
Yeah, and it's a disappointing ball from Ryan Mason. He had so much time. He puts it onto his favoured right boot. All he needs to do is put that onto the edge of the 6-yard box. Put it with height. Give Will Keane the opportunity to get into the game because he's done nothing, because he's not been involved. The ball hasn't been given to him. When it has, he's been sold short or he hasn't had the opportunity to bring it under control. It's just been poor, and really Hull's day so far has been summed up by that attempt at a cross from Mason in the fact that it was just dreadful, really.
Yeah, dreadful. It's been Hull's story of Hull's afternoon. 52 minutes played at the Vitality Stadium. And they are seeing a bit more of the ball. There is a bit more urgency about them, but execution at the moment is not the best. As Mason actually finds a good ball out to El Mohammadi on the right-hand side, who's looking for the run of Snodgrass, who gets to the byline, tries to pull it back, but Daniels is in the way. It's at the expense of a corner, though. Opportunity for Hull here. Might have had a penalty in the first half from a corner. Cook taking a bit of a chance with his marking. Got away with that one. Snodgrass is going to swing this one in from the right, deep towards the far post, but grabs it at the second attempt. Does Artur Boric, who sort of caught it, spilled it for briefly, never quite hit the ground, and he grabbed the second ball. Bournemouth's breakout is quickly ended by a good challenge from Klukas. So Hull again, Snodgrass with a delivery again towards the far post, an attempted punch by Boric. I'm not sure that's exactly where he intended to punch it, but it's away from the Hull players. Stanislas has kept it in, and Bournemouth have an opportunity to clear. Clever ball from Francis to Stanislas. This is all very deep inside their own half. Sermon forward to Jack Wilshere, who is able to wriggle away from Klukas first time. Pretty much does a 180 and is now running at the Hull midfield, backing off once more. Sermon clips it down the left, looking for the pace of Ibe, and he should keep it in, and does, right behind the corner flag. Obviously right-footed, but El Mohammadi is just careful And he might try and go round him along the byline. He doesn't. Passes backwards to Daniels. Now Sermon with a switch of play to Smith. Fairly in field for a right back. Francis bringing it forward deep inside Bournemouth, the whole territory. Now to Wiltshire. They're backing off. Wiltshire goes for a pile driver. It's blocked by Maguire. Ball spinning towards the corner flag. Davis, I think, has prevented the corner, but it will be a throw into Bournemouth. And he gets there, cross just over Keane's head. It's kept alive far into the area. Low crossing this time from Huddleston. Hacked away by Stanislas. Hasn't gone very far, but Wilson's strong enough to hold off would-be marker. And because he's smashed it down the field to a Hull player, everybody back there for Bournemouth. The referee saw no advantage, but promised there for once, although it seemed obvious Clucas didn't really want to take on the defender.
No, he seemed to get up to the fullback and stand still, really. I don't think he was quite sure. He doesn't look particularly comfortable in that sort of position, but Clucas seems to have been the man to have moved, because with them taking off Maloney, somebody needed to go out wide or they had to have a change of shape. Clucas has gone out there. He does have previous for being an attacking player with his time in the lower leagues, so he's a player who can work out there, but I think it's a strange thing, because Clucas arguably was probably Hull's best player. I think him and Snodgrass were the two bright lights, as it were, if you can call them that, in the first half, and to put him out there, I think, may well be to the detriment of his side. But Huddleston's a good passer of the ball. He can dictate the tempo, and hopefully for Hull City he'll do just that. Arsenal have taken a 3-1 lead now. Mesut Ozil with the goal there.
Yeah, Mesut Ozil 3-1. Same scoreline in our game at the Vitality Stadium, but signs that certainly they're trying to get back into it. Hull City, they haven't really tested Boruc in the Bournemouth goal, but here's a chance. Robertson in behind the fullback again, cross towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Keane backed off, headed clear by Cook. And Ibe had a chance to take it forward there, but dispossessed by El Mohammadi. But the step over from Snodgrass didn't work, and now the Cherries are streaming forward down their left-hand side. It's with Jordan Ibe again, who obviously has been pretty key to Bournemouth's success in the width. Just final product hasn't been as effective as Stanislas, and isn't again. Caught in possession, and Hull break back. They're not necessarily out of this yet, Hull. I mean, of course, I've written them off given the way that they've played, but they're certainly up their intensity. And if they get the next goal relatively quickly, you never know. Stranger things have certainly happened in football. They just didn't show anything like this in the first half. Quite happy to sit back and pretty much do nothing. Cost them a 3-1 deficit. Snodgrass is trying to change that, turns away from his marker, cross into the mixer. Francis beats Keane in the air, cleared away, but only as far as Mason, who goes down the channel again. Keane's first touch, not fantastic, and Francis again comes away with it. He's able to clear, and the opportunity has gone a-begging. A sense of promise for Hull at the start of this second half. They're certainly playing with a little bit more intensity and desire, not really creating an awful lot. They have made a change as well. Tom Huddleston has come on for the pretty ineffectual Sean Maloney, but lots of pressure in not very key positions. It's better than the first half though. Bournemouth obviously doing a little bit more defending, but they've looked pretty comfortable so far. They have created one chance as well from a set piece. Junior Stanislas is delivering. Cook with the header, far post, tipped over the bar by David Marshall. But Bournemouth still look relatively comfortable, but not pressing as much as they were perhaps in the first period. It's Bournemouth 3, Hull 1.
Yeah, as we just see pictures of Andrew Robertson, he's been booked for a challenge on Harry Arter. I think he initially had a nibble at Stanislas, didn't manage to connect with him, so decided to have another go and took out the central midfielder. So Robertson goes into the book as Bournemouth take the free kick, won by Harry Arter from just right of the centre circle. Daniels has it now just left, having been found by Sermon. Has to go backwards to his goalkeeper after being crowded out. Boric happy to play it between the two Hull City front men. Snodgrass and Keane that were trying to put him under pressure, but he just eased the ball through. And now they'll try and work forward once again. Walt Bournemouth with Sermon plays it into Stanislas, who's had a good day so far with half an hour still to play. Shifted back to Cook, into Francis, who takes it over halfway down the right hand side. Bournemouth just maintaining possession, not really going anywhere. As I say that, they lose it. Klukas manages to turn away, and then Livermore tries to pick a 40-yard pass from left to right. It's won back by Daniels, and Ibe tries to take it away, but Ibe's touches poor this time. And then a ball forward for Keane as Hull come forward this time. Keane tries to get away, and I think it was Snodgrass who got across. It was Ryan Mason, sorry, went down under a challenge from Francis. Mason has stayed down on the penalty spot, head in his hands. It was almost off the ball really, but Bournemouth will come forward with Stanislas.
Stanislas driving into it in the middle, feeding it out to the left hand side, and Jordan Ibe, two wingers for Bournemouth. I've certainly kept the Hull defence stretched, although as I say that, they're both playing through the middle at the moment, at walking pace as well. But Smith offers some width down the right. His pass is back though to Sermon, maybe signs that Bournemouth are quite happy at 3-1, looking to take the sting. Wiltshire picks it up, Ibe in the D, fakes a shot with his left, goes with his right, and he's dragged it wide of the near post, and that will be a goal kick. Bit frustrated with himself there. I said they were at walking pace, but then one decent ball and Hull is stretched again. Yeah,
absolutely that. Not far off from Ibe as well. He managed to bring it down well, got it out of his feet as it were. Managed to get a shot in, which is the first real time we've seen that from Jordan Ibe, because he does well to get away from people, but just doesn't quite get the shot off. But this time he did, but it's wide and harmlessly wide as well from the winger.
Looks though that was Jordan Ibe's last contribution though. He's been replaced, and Josh King has come on in his place. Stanislas is still on the pitch. I'm not sure he's just got over to the touchline there. Didn't quite see the face, but there's the change. Josh King for Jordan Ibe, as Robertson is getting a bit of treatment. Ryan Mason was down, but he's back on his feet. And I do think that's just a little bit of a cop out there, but it could be a problem here if Robertson goes off, because they don't want to make defensive changes.
Yeah, absolutely that. I think they are going to have to make a change, and they are. Diamande is on that sideline. Looks like he's going to come on. So there's definitely going to be a change for Hull. They need it. They need something different. But Everton have taken the lead at the Etihad. It's Manchester City 0. Everton 1 in that game. We're just trying to figure out exactly who is coming off. I think it is Robertson who's coming off. He's got two physios around him. It doesn't look good for him. And Diamande is coming on, so it must be some sort of change of shape for Hull City. I think that's the only way they can go, really.
Yeah, it's going to have to. Well, you'd hope it. If you're watching this, even as a neutral, it'd be an attacking change, because they're 3-1 down with Tamar in that. So I suppose they might have to mix things up. Might have to play with two at the back. El Mohammadi likes to get forward. I suppose you could drop Livermore back into a back three and play with wing backs, potentially.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, Klukas can play left back as well. I think he did it a little bit in pre-season. Seems to be a jack of all trade, really, Sam Klukas. But other than that, I'm not sure exactly what else they can do unless they're really trying to go for it, and they're happy to just lose a couple of men, because as you say, El Mohammadi isn't a defensive player. I think, looking at the shape that they've gone with, I think Clucas has dropped back to full-back. So Diamande, I think, will just assume a role as a left winger.
Yeah, obviously, as far as Bournemouth are concerned, it appears, though, anyway, that Stanislas has gone from right to left as they come down the right-hand side with King now operating in tandem with Smith. Back to the halfway line, Francis. Harry Arter, for a moment under pressure, but a little shimmy, gets away from Mason and Keane. And the Cherries go from right to left, back inside. Sermon to the flank, and Charlie Daniels clips it forwards, and again Stanislas in space is allowed to turn. Sermon across, well, back towards the halfway line, centre circle. That's a good ball though from Francis, out to Smith, down the line for Josh King. Good reverse pull back to Smith, who's got to the byline, pulls it back towards the far post. Stanislas with a shot, and it's gone in at the back of the net. Stanislas has got his second. He's got to be man of the match now, and we've still got 25 minutes to go.
So easy, so easy down that right-hand side. They've exploited the fact that Sam Clucas doesn't particularly know what he's doing as a fullback. Good interplay between Smith and King, who seems to have come across to this right-hand side, leaving Stanislas out there on the left. But it's just poor. Lovely ball through the legs of Clucas. Great pullback from Smith. And Stanislas kept his head down. I think David Marshall might have been slightly off-sighted. I think it's just crept past him as we just see a replay pull back. And yeah, just the pace manages to beat him. Great finish from Stanislas, and what a day for the winger.
It's becoming a rugby score as Bournemouth go 4-1 up just after the hour mark. Changes had been made. Maybe it's affected Hull more than Bournemouth. Jordan Ibe went off for Josh King, while Hull were forced to make a defensive change, really. Robertson departed through injury, had been replaced by Adama Diamande. Stanislas went from left wing, from right wing to left wing to accommodate Josh King, and it's paid off excellently. Smith down the right worked a lovely 1-2 with King. King with a nice reverse pass through the legs of the defender. Smith got to the byline, fizzed it across the 6-yard box. Arriving there was junior Stanislas with a cool, good, strong finish. Gave Marshall no chance getting across. Doesn't look good for Hull, the performance or indeed the result now. It's a Bournemouth 4, Hull City 1.
There's also been a fifth goal at the Emirates. It's Arsenal 3, Swansea City 2. Borja Baston with the goal there for Bournemouth. As things stand, they will go 9th in the Premier League table, leapfrogging above Watford, Southampton and West Brom and Leicester City. The champions, of course, Hull City will drop to 15th, just 3 points above Swansea City as things stand, as Hull come forward. A decent ball in, and Diamande arriving at the back post couldn't quite connect to it. It's a good ball in, flicked on. Diamande just a couple of yards away from it, sliding in, ended up off the turf behind the goal, and really it may well just end up turning into a salvage operation for Hull City. Their goal difference at the moment is -10, and if they're not careful, it could end up getting worse and worse as a throw-in taken by Clucas, returned to him by Livermore, whose pass was, well, 2 yards to the side of the central midfielder, turned winger, turned fullback, who just couldn't quite connect with it, and Bournemouth are happy to take it and ease their way through this game at the moment, which is exactly what they're doing. It's played across now to Cook, who shifts it to the left-hand side where Daniels is waiting, tries to play it forward right-footed and gives the ball away. But then Hull City's pass, I think it was Huddleston who managed to intercept it, then tried to play it out, and the pass was dreadful. Yeah,
just looking at their recent results, they don't look particularly good. Admittedly, they were good teams, in theory anyway. Potential title challenges: 4-1 Arsenal, 5-1 Hull. Chelsea perhaps less convincing, although I think deserved winners. Cruised through that one 2-0. But now Bournemouth 4-1 up, playing the better football. Could get worse for Hull City. They've had to make one or two changes, but just does not look good. And it obviously has come in the week that Hull made him their permanent boss. As well, they're still trying in possession-wise. Artur Boruc has had not very much to do though. which certainly will be something else that just irks the Tigers fans as King tries to break out. He almost got there. He was caught by, I think that was Mason getting across, but I think Mason got some of the ball as well, so no foul. And King quickly on his feet, back into position on the right-hand side. But it's difficult to see where Hull go from here. 22 minutes left. I mean, are they still going to try and get back in it, or are they going to play the goal difference card? Let's shut up shop.
I don't know. I really do not know. Because I've not known what exactly they've wanted to do as Diamande goes into the penalty area here, and Boric gets across, puts a challenge in. I'm not sure what it's gone. I think it must have gone behind for a corner, I think, as Diamande just broke away down the left-hand side, got away from Francis, tried to stab it towards goal, and between Boric and Francis they did just enough to smuggle it behind for a corner.
Yeah, I'm not convinced there was much of a touch. I don't think it was a penalty, but anyway, corner in, and the only man attacking it again is red and black. Volley comes in 25 yards out. Lucas, he's got underneath that, and that's high into the stand. Bournemouth 4, Hull 1, and there was a positive start to the season given the troubles that they've had, but this is kind of just slowly becoming a sinking feeling, is it not?
It is, 100%, and it's the worst possible start for Mike Phelan, I think, because there was a lot of questions as to whether or not they should stick with him. It was a long, drawn-out process because of the contract and everything else around it, and then his first game, there's plenty of optimism, and this happens as Klukas whips it in left-footed. It's headed away by Francis, but really it's the worst possible start for Mike Phelan, and I think he'll be utterly disappointed with what he's seen so far as Wilshere takes it over halfway. He's got Wilson ahead of him on the right. That's where he plays it. Wilson, good touch, and drives it left-footed, but in the end it's comfortable for David Marshall, who palms it down into the floor and then gathers it back under control. But again, so much room for Bournemouth, and Callum Wilson, I think, will be disappointed that he didn't do better. I think it took a slight deflection actually off Maguire, which took a bit of the sting off it, but a decent save nonetheless.
Can't tell you, Nolito has put Man City back on terms at home to Everton, and he has a bit of a rep. I think previously Granit Xhaka, he's got a red card. So Arsenal, who are leading Swansea by 3-2, are now down to 10 men. So that could make an interesting final quarter to the game or so. Anyway, this is going to get interesting if Hull start getting shots on target, really, just to offer something of a fight. Or maybe Bournemouth need to go down to 10 men, because it's been a very comfortable performance. And there were one or two suggesting certainly a top half finish for Bournemouth at the start of this season. Maybe even a little run at the European places. Yeah,
and I think it'll be interesting to see how they do against some of the better teams in the division. I mean, Hull is without being too harsh, today I don't think will be a particularly accurate barometer of exactly where Bournemouth are in the Premier League this season. I mean, they got tanked by Manchester City, got a win over West Brom, got a win over Everton as well, of course. So they've got the ability, and with a player like Jack Wilshere in there as well, they do have players with quality. They do. Callum Wilson's a very good finisher. He was unlucky last season to get injured and miss the majority of the season. Junior Stanislas, who's kind of cast asunder by West Ham, has shown that he's got quality. So they do have players that I think can push, definitely for a top half finish. I think Europe might be a step too far, but top half, when you look at some of the other teams in the division, I think it's doable.
Yeah, it could be a big test next week, of course. Bournemouth host Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs currently being held away at West Brom, but other games after that, Middlesbrough, Sunderland and Stoke. So certainly we'll see how Bournemouth's season is going to pan out over the course of those fixtures. Hull, incidentally, they've had a tough run recently. Next up, Stoke, Watford, Southampton. Not sure if that's getting any easier for them on this evidence. Not convinced, but we'll see how this game finishes. 17 minutes to go plus injury time. I think the referee might take pity on them. Jack Wilshere in shot for us right now, off Tube Studio commentary. Thoughts on his performance today?
He's done all right. I mean, the thing with Jack Wilshere is, I mean, you use England as an example. Jack Wilshere is a player I think that England need. He's the sort of player in the fact that he's positive, he gets the ball down, he's not afraid to drive at people, he's got quality and he's a good passer. And we've seen all of that today. I think sometimes the fact that he doesn't score many goals overshadows his general performance, but again, he gets the ball down, he's happy to run at people, he's drawn a foul there, he's good with the ball at his feet. I think this opportunity at Bournemouth to play first team football is great for him, and the opportunity to get 90 minutes under his belt as well, which I think he's not had for 2 or 3 years, I think, since the last time he managed to get 90 minutes under his belt. So it's been a good 75 minutes for him, and I think that this sort of loan spell for him could revitalise his career. If he carries on in the sort of vein that he has done so far this season, it could be a very fruitful one for him.
Yeah, let's see if he lasts the 90 minutes. He's not standing over this free kick. Arta, Stanislas and Sermonar is actually first recipient though, although they've worked it square. Now out to the right flank, they've not gone forward as yet, although Smith feeds it down the channel for King, who's strong enough to hold off Davis. Back to Smith, 25 yards from goal. Further now with a pass back to Arta. Nice little interchange at Wilshere and Stanislas. Didn't quite come off, although Arta's strong challenges won the ball back. The clearance though, is it affected? Yes, just about. As Snodgrass back there helping out defensively. Just an extra number there. Strong challenge though from Harry Arta. He doesn't look the biggest, but he's not afraid to make a challenge or two if he feels it's for the good of the team. Livermore has it on the halfway line. 1-2 with Mason. Tries to feed Keane at the edge of the box, but I mean, Keane, it's difficult to know what to make of Keane, isn't it? He's touched the ball so few times.
Exactly that. He's been so isolated, and he hasn't got into the game as much as his team haven't got him into the game. They've not involved him, really. He's been a complete passenger to everything that's gone on. He hasn't had a shot on goal. He's not really had a positive run. He seems to be there as a target man who they aren't targeting. It's peculiar. It really is peculiar. To have him there and have him so ineffective and so uninvolved is criminal for Hull City. They need a striker who they're going to use. I don't want to say he needs to come back and get involved, but they need to use him more.
Cross in from Smith on the right towards the near post. Davis is there first, and then Klukas, who's now playing as the left back. We wondered how they're going to change it. Well, Klukas has just dropped back, and Diamandi has replaced Klukas in midfield. As Hull still huffing and puffing for a shot on target, let alone their way back into this contest. They have, to a degree, stemmed the flow. Number of passes, whether that's something that there's very little in it. Bournemouth 3-7-3, Hull 3-5-4. There's a problem here for Cook. Is it a head injury? Because the ball was in play there, and I think it was just maybe there's a clash of heads earlier on, and he's feeling it. But obviously, the protocols that they have to go through. He stopped play here, the referee, and Cook is now getting looked at by the physios.
Yeah, he was down off the ball. He seems to look okay. He's sat up. Is Cook? He's being examined. They're rubbing above his right eye. So I'm not sure exactly what the situation is, what the issue is. As you say, it's whether it was just a clash of heads and he's feeling it, he's stayed down. He seems to be okay, but it's, as you say, it's the protocol. It's whether or not he can see, it's whether or not his vision's there, it's whether or not he's suitable to get back involved. He seems okay, he's talking, he's sat upright. There doesn't seem to be a problem in that respect, and I think he'll be fine to come on. But Bournemouth are making a change. I'm not sure exactly who it is coming on as of yet, but whether or not it'll be for Steve Cook, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I thought the sub was Dan Gosling, but I might be wrong. Only just got a glimpse of him in this off-tube studio commentary. Cook looks as though he's actually just going to come back onto the pitch. He's obviously had a bit of treatment, so he's gone off so that he can come back on. David Myler is coming on for Hull. He's replacing the goal scorer, Ryan Mason. That's the third and final change then for the Tigers. But looks as though Bournemouth have got substitutes ready to come. I thought it was Dan Gosling, but we were just waiting for confirmation. 78 minutes ticking over at the Vitality Stadium, and Jack Wilshere isn't going to complete 90 minutes. I knew he wouldn't, Jack. I knew he wouldn't complete 90 minutes.
He'll get there. He will get there. No, I mean, the thing with it is they're still trying to nurse him out there. They don't want to push him too far. They don't want to expose him. They don't want to leave him in a position where he's going to get injured again, because that's been what has stunted his career, as it were. Dan Gosling, you were right, has come on. So, like for like, really, for Bournemouth. For Hull, it is whether it's just damage limitation and they don't want to concede again. Because I don't see any other reason why to bring David Myler on when they've got Abel Hernandez is there, Henriksen's an attacking midfielder. They had better options if they wanted to go for this game. Yes, there's 12 minutes to go, and yes, they're 3 goals behind, but it's what their priority is. Is it just to save face, or is it to really go for it? I think it's just to stop the ball hitting the back of their net again now.
Yeah, I mean, they have made 4 changes from the Chelsea defeat, but this is arguably worse. 4-1, admittedly it is away, but many saw Chelsea as a title challenger. I'm not sure many did. There's always a back pass play, and Harry Arter was hunting out an error there, but Marshall's able to clear. It hasn't left the whole half, and the fact they're working it backwards. Left-footed El Mohammadi tries to clear, but that's intercepted by Sermon. There's then a fight for the ball, though. Couldn't quite work the opportunity. Huddleston getting his long levers in the way. But then El Mohammadi runs into traffic and is dispossessed once more, with Bournemouth trying to come down the left-hand side. Pretty disappointing passage of play for Hull. Bit of possession, but they're not making it last too long. But to me, Bournemouth are actually playing in second gear right now, having made those changes. Time running out for Hull, and there's seemingly no way back in. They've made their 3 changes. Myler has now come on for the goal scorer Ryan Mason, even though he got a bit of a helping hand from a big deflection. But they haven't threatened Artur Boric's goal. Credit to Bournemouth. When in possession, they look pretty good, composed. They know what they're doing, playing with a bit of purpose, and they're defended stoutly as well. Wilson had an effort just from the edge of the box, just not long after the goal, drilled it straight at the keeper. But Bournemouth are playing at walking pace now. They know they've got this game won. Chances are few and far between, but it certainly does not look as though Hull are going to get back into it. Time running out. It's Bournemouth 4, Hull City 1.
Bournemouth with the ball just inside their own half on the far right-hand channel. It's going to be Smith who works it back to Francis, and Boric will just take his time and relax into it and work it out towards this right-hand side again with King, but Klukas managed to get across and beat the Norwegian to the ball. So an opportunity then for Bournemouth just to start again and just to calm down, and as you say, rightly so, they are in second gear. It's very, very comfortable for Bournemouth. It was in the first half, even when they conceded, it was very, very comfortable. And the question really remains as to what exactly Hull City are going to do and where they go from here, because the recruitment wasn't good enough in the summer. Their style of play, well, I don't think they have an identity. I've not seen anything from them today, and really it's just not been a good performance at all. And West Brom have taken the lead against Tottenham. Nasser Chadli against his former side. West Brom 1, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, 1 or 2 surprising results. I'm not saying this is surprising. It's City having to come from behind. They might still win that though, but Tottenham having beaten Man City last week, now losing at Spurs, as Hull again struggling to clear their lines. They don't get it very far. It's quickly coming back. Gosling to Harry Arter, just tickles it forward to Wilson, gets it back. He's trying to muscle his way through in the end. Davis gets in the way. The rebounds come to Josh King. His cross blocked behind, corner kick, and they're making everything look hard. Hull at the moment clearing the lines. Another set piece opportunity, as it's taken short by Harry Arter, Smith to King, who then just wrong foots his man, cross deep towards the far post, free header. Oh, what a simple goal that was. Callum Wilson, is anybody marking him? It didn't seem like it. He's got in on the act as well, and it's getting much, much worse. Bournemouth 5, Hull 1.
It's horrendous. It really is horrendous. It's a short corner. Nobody goes across to the short corner initially. Ball is played into the back post, and Callum Wilson stands still. He doesn't move. The defenders move away from him. Wilson stays stood on the edge of the penalty area. Free header. It's a really good header as well. Full credit to him. It's into the corner over the head of Lucas, who was stood on the post on the line. But the defending from set pieces from Hull City has been dreadful. It's one thing that they need to work on, and it's one thing that they should do better at this level. They have to. They haven't. It's over.
I thought the pain might have stopped for Hull City, but it's getting worse. Bournemouth have got a 5th goal, and this is just embarrassing. Bournemouth won a corner down the right-hand side after a bit of panic in the box from the corner. It was taken short, King and Smith between them. Nobody really closed them down. King just wrong-footed one man with the overlap, got to the byline, just stood it up to the far post. Callum Wilson all alone. He's the striker, nobody within 5 yards of him. He didn't have to jump, he didn't have to move, and he guided a header past nobody on the line, and Bournemouth have got a 5th goal. Impressive performance from the Cherries, absolutely awful from Hull City. Time still on, there's still time for it to get worse. It's Bournemouth 5, Hull 1.
Hull trying to work down the right-hand side themselves here, a rare foray forward. On it, David Milek getting his first touch of the ball and putting it out for a set piece.
Head and hands from the Hull fans. If they've made the trip, it's a fairly long way to go to watch your side lose 5-1. As mentioned, it might get worse. Got about 4.5 minutes to go plus injury time. Looks as though Bournemouth are going to make a change. Callum Wilson is going off, and he gets a big round of applause from the Bournemouth fans. He probably would have wanted to stay on. It's not as if he's been worked this afternoon, is it? Bournemouth just been far too good. They made it look easy as well. That's what's even more worrying for Mike Phelan and Hull. It doesn't even look like it's been hard, and yet they're resting players. I'm not sure what they're resting them from. As the corner comes in towards the near post, it's headed back towards the corner taker, and Stanislas feeds it to Josh King, who tried a little layoff. Only Stanislas went after that, but I don't think he was the target, and a little bit lax that from Josh King. Perhaps they're just trying the tricks. Time running out, it's 5-1.
Exactly that. I mean, Benik Afobe's come on. He was the man who replaced Callum Wilson. Didn't get involved in the corner, but it's been so easy for Bournemouth. And I mean, the thing with it is the way that this is going to come out is that Hull City were poor. But Bournemouth have played really well. They've maintained possession very well in the centre of the park. They've knocked the ball around. They've not made many mistakes. Yes, Hull haven't profited when they have, other than the goal. But Bournemouth haven't made many errors. And that's been the difference. Hull have made error after error after error. And it's just not been good enough from a Hull City perspective. But Bournemouth, a lot to be happy with, I think.
Yeah, the pain might be over soon, though. Time is running out. It might be over, who knows. Their attacking threat has been pretty non-existent. The defence has wilted as well. And I really do think Bournemouth have been playing this second half in maybe first gear. Second gear, it's just been too easy. Smith's got it in his own half. He's wondering what to do. Eventually, he's going across the pitch. Decent pace, but no challenge comes in. Feeds Stanislas down the left. Daniels back inside to Daniels, who goes past one, past another. Dan Gosling with a shot. Oh, and it's a 6th goal for Bournemouth. This is awful from Hull. Bournemouth have been fantastic. I think he's actually slightly mishit it, but nobody was around. It was a free shot, and Bournemouth are running riot.
It's a really good finish if he has mishit it. It's a really, really good finish. Bends it round the goalkeeper with his left foot, but it was just the Hull City defending again is poor. Gosden has moved from halfway unmarked. Nobody knows he's there. Huddleston has stepped in to make a challenge and hasn't got there. He stepped in from the left-hand side and bent it into the corner. It's a great finish from the substitute. Just woeful from Hull.
It's getting worse for Hull City. Time might save them from utter humiliation, but a sixth has gone in, and it's a good move as well, but just highlighting the problems that Hull have had. Smith picked it up in the right-back position, didn't know what to do with it initially, went on a run unchallenged, found Stanislas on the left. He just played it back inside to the other fullback, Daniels. He's driven forward, beaten 3 or 4 players, just played it into the D, running onto it. Dan Gosling, unchallenged, unmarked, nobody but the keeper in front of him has curled it past the desperate save of Marshall, and it's just getting worse and worse for Hull. Bournemouth have been absolutely fantastic, unlucky to have actually conceded a goal, but they're running riot in the second half. They might still get more. Bournemouth 6, Hull 1.
The only unbeaten run in the Premier League may well still be intact. It's West Brom 1, Tottenham 1, Dele Alli in the 89th minute to maybe keep Spurs' unbeaten run alive. I've just seen it flash up from Manchester City. It is Manchester City 1, Everton 1, but City have missed 2 penalties today. Kevin De Bruyne missed his penalty, Aguero had his saved, so it's not been the best day in front of goal for Manchester City, unlike Bournemouth, who have bagged 6 against Hull. As Klukas tries to turn and play a ball down the line, finds Snodgrass, who's come across to this left-hand side. Now Huddleston attempting to just retain possession, really, for Hull, whose goal difference will now go down to -12, the worst in the Premier League, and by quite a long way. As Huddleston tries to turn and play a ball forward into Snodgrass, turns on halfway, has options on the right, goes to Keane, who just shifts it inside, and now Hull are going to try and come forward down this right-hand side this time. Shifts back to Myler. In the end, Hull are just shifting the ball around. Afobe puts them under pressure, but Huddleston will come away with it. Snodgrass works it out wide to Klukas, tries to put a cross in, dealt with. Klukas keeps it in play. Snodgrass whips it in this time, left-footed towards the back post, headed away by Cook. Kept in play though. I think it's El Mohammadi pushing up there. Cues it back for Myler this time with the ball in. The header towards goal is from Diomande. It's wide of the left-hand post, and really it's Hull's best chance apart from the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty dire day for the Tigers fans. It's got even worse with the fact the referee has added on 4 minutes of injury time. We're well into those though, so there's not that long left, but Eddie Howe could take all sorts of positives from this one. They've defended strongly, a little bit unlucky with the equaliser, big deflection from a shot from range. They've scored 6, they might have had others, they've hit the woodwork certainly, and the keeper's made a couple of saves. There might have been a penalty which could have been a talking point, but when a team loses 6-1, I don't think it's going to be much of a talking point in truth. That's as far as the Tigers are concerned. They've been well and truly beaten. They've given the ball away inside their own half as well, although it's only gone into touch for a throw-in. As now it's Harry Arter looking for a Phobe, but he's underhit that pass. Hull should clear as it's played down the line, looking for Diomande to chase, but he's beaten to it by Cook. Goes back to his keeper. Arter Burrich showboating a fraction with a dummy pass. There's nobody ahead of him, and Bournemouth will play some patient. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. As play some patient approach football. As I say, that Stanislas hits it long, looking for a Phobe. But Maguire's there, clears it into touch, throw in halfway inside the Hull half, left-hand side. Not dealt with particularly, not taken particularly well by Bournemouth. Perhaps trying to be too clever. Now Hull, can they get a consolation there? Bringing it forward. They come down the right-hand side, slip through towards Keane, running into the box, but Francis is able to get across, put it behind at the expense of a corner. It surely will only be a consolation at this stage. Maybe A few seconds left of injury time. It's going to be an in-swinger from the right. Snodgrass towards the near post. Sermon's there, heads it up in the air to the edge of the box. Myler almost clatters into Klukas. Between them, they retain the ball. El Mohammadi out to Snodgrass, the corner taker. Just lays it off to Myler. Up and under from him towards the far post. Boruc takes no chances at all and pushes it away for a throw-in rather than a goal kick, rather than try and catch it rather, or a corner. Taking no chances. Arsenal have held off. 10-man Arsenal have held off Swansea 3-2. That's a full time. As Hull try and get to the byline. Klukas trying to get round Smith. Good defending from him. And just shepherds it behind for a goal kick. But in fact, that is it. The referee has had enough. Bournemouth have been far too good for the Tigers. Tigers have been mauled. Full time. Bournemouth 6. Hull City 1.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match
fantastic. And then defensively, rock solid, aren't they? Ledley, MacArthur's sitting in the middle of the park, and a fairly settled back four, even without Scott Dann this afternoon. West Ham, there's all sorts of oohs and ahs, and we think they're lining up with 3 at the back this afternoon, but that's a sort of a change in and of itself. There's a sense of unsettledness and compromise here, and I'm not quite sure there, and a dip in form along the way, and they don't feel kind of like they've got the momentum. They haven't got the mojo going yet.
No, they certainly haven't, but they've got good players, and if it all comes good for them, you never know. Zaha drives at the heart of the West Ham defence. Give the ball away in midfield. Can't afford to do that. I'm not the biggest fan of Md.Robeul. As well, we see the ball laid back to the keeper. Adrian, he's a decent keeper. Yeah. Still trying to work out who's doing what to for West Ham, and honestly, we'll tell you when we know. Other suggestions are that they're 4-4-2 today, but I can't really see that. Anyway, for the moment, it looks like they may have gone wing backs with Antonio left hand side, and maybe Cresswell wing back on the left. That puts a lot of bodies in the midfield for them. Cresswell got to do some defending now as the attack comes down his flank, but he picks up the ball. It's big news to have Cresswell back. He runs forward, then he runs into a load of spaces. Zaza tries to get round his man. Tompkins, formerly with the Hammers, puts the block on the Juventus loanee. And maybe a chance for West Ham to get forward. I mean, you can't write off West Ham. They were terrific last season. Players like Payet, Lanzini, looks like they overspent on him from what I've seen this season. But these guys were great last year.
Yeah, it's just a question of finding. I said mojo earlier on, so I shouldn't repeat that. But just finding a rhythm, finding a measure of form, finding a pattern that suits, and settling into the Premier League. And it's a strange season with international breaks stopping and starting, and it's on the back of the Euros, so a lot of players have had kind of an out of sync pre-season, so it's been a really odd couple of months in many respects.
Ooh, they faff about the back there. Tompkins to Mandanda, who decided he's going to drop a shoulder, and Zaza very nearly reads it and close to taking it off him. Football's like this, isn't it? Just you think that everything's going nicely, and we saw Alan Pardew with the grinning like a Cheshire cat before the kick-off. If you ever get complacent for a second, that is when you get absolutely a bit. Whoever wins Manager of the Month tends then to go through a horrible run of games that lose their job. And just when you've hit at top form, it's when you get crunched and get injured for players. So everybody knows how difficult it is. Here's a chance. Cresswell bombing forward. Where's the defensive cover? Zaha's not there at all. Shot comes in, side netting. It all peeled away. I'm looking for talk about back four for Crystal Palace. Well, there's no full back there.
Well, Joel Ward's gone pressing into the middle of the park, hasn't he? He's left a huge gap behind him, and that's why Zaha's racing back.
Well, ridiculous that. I think Cresswell, did he do well? And the first touch looked all right. Got it out of his feet. He tried to stuff it in at the near post, but it all opened up for him then.
I tell you what, your mate Obiang did really well to set all that in motion. He drew 2 or 3 midfielders towards him, extricated himself out of the little pocket. That's why the fullback had to go galloping into the middle of the park, and hence the gap opens up for Cresswell to steam into. I'm going to put a little tick in the box for Mr. Obiang for that. Not only did he do really well with the ball at his feet, he saw the pass as well.
Right, so something to think about already. Palace could have had their nose bloodied by that last incident, but the ball breaks hit Cresswell. Great to see him back. You know, injured in pre-season, here he is like he's never been away. I looked a smashing player last season. They got him from Ipswich, something like that. But looked very much at home. If only they could find themselves a right back, they could settle in a little bit. They play players out of position, both left and right back this season. Had problems at centre back as well, where they've picked up injuries. They do have James Collins on the bench today, though. And for me, it was a mistake letting Tompkins go here. We see the defensive rear guard for Palace, but they've got a bit more to do. The ball flicked away from Tompkins by the number 10, Lanzini. Ball breaks to Cresswell. He's the spare man at the edge of the area. Gets past his man. Rolls it to Cesar. Into the box. Gets his shot away in instalments. Mandanda goes down. Not a bad start for the Hammers, though.
Yeah, they're moving the ball quite slickly, aren't they? There are options to pass to. The ball into the feet of Zaza was just a little bit fiery and not quite on the mark. He did really quite well to pull it back under control and get it into a place where he could put his foot through it. Not all the meat in the shot that he would have wanted as a result, but they are moving the ball really quite nicely.
They are, and I think sometimes you look at what's in front of you, stats. I'll go through that. How many points have they got, respective form going into it, and then you throw all that away. First 5 minutes, and it looks like West Ham have got more bodies in midfield, and Aaron Cresswell looks like he's been away too long, because already he looks like the difference. He's been solid defending, but also creeping forward. Never mind Mikel Antonio's scoring form. Cresswell could be the man today.
Well, he's blazed one just shy of the near post already. He's been instrumental in another promising move. Yeah, he looks like the man most likely at the moment.
Football's strange, very hard to work out. Zeza battling away for his team there, got pulled from behind by Punchin. him. Ball into the box. It's an opportunity. Wow, that was close for Kouyaté. Headed it the way he was looking, and unfortunately he wasn't looking at goal. But he wasn't far away, and he beat his man. But just a tad unlucky there.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of bodies in there, aren't there? There's all sorts going on. And you talked about Antonio being at the far stick. Going for the second ball, he wasn't a million miles away from converting that right under the posts. He was just half a yard shy. I can't believe that Kouyaté was looking for him, but it was very nearly a perfect assist.
Well, there was somebody there who had a big hold of the shirt of Kouyaté's. He didn't moan about it because he won his header, but I wonder if that put him off slightly. And also if the referee spots that, then
Yeah, it's a clear penalty, isn't it? It's absolutely a handful of shirt. He's a handful of shirt.
So referee didn't spot that or didn't deem it to matter that much, but it was a sneaky one. I think it was Joe Ledley because it seemed to be a 6 on the jersey. Palace haven't. They're at home, but they haven't got off the coach. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah, they need to establish control of the ball 3/4 of the way up the pitch, and then the likes of Punchin and Zaha and Townsend can come into the game. But until that point, they haven't really got the craft to play their way through this packed midfield, have they? So they're a bit stuck.
I'm always a bit suspicious of a team who's unchanged. To me, it's like, well, really, you're playing against exactly the same team as you did, last time out. It's the same problems. On one side you say, right, do you focus on your own strengths? Well, of course you do that to some extent, but I think you've also got to work out what the opposition is going to try and do and how you nullify that. For the moment, Palace have done none of the above. Andros Townsend is in good form and he's able just to lay the ball back there, but they have the ball fleetingly. Zaza will chase away now, and that ball's been put out by Delaney at the edge of his own area, so it will be a throw, and it will be for West Ham, who like a bullet out of a gun with this start. The only thing they haven't done is score. They haven't really asked Mandanda too many questions, but they've shown an appetite which belies their recent form, and they look the better team as they continue to try and get forward there. Md.Robeul just dropping back. I think you need intelligent players if you're going to play a back three. Players who will drop back into it, like Noble picked the ball up into midfield. His job is to link it up, try and get the Lanzinis and Pies of this world into play. Like the rest, try and win the ball. Ogbonna there does okay, and the ball then just laid back to the keeper Adrian. Centre backs will split again as Winston Reid comes away with the ball, and there's only Benteke chasing him. Long ball forward to Cresswell again. He gets on the end of the run there, and that's just a good enough header back, only just by Joel Ward. Cresswell got ahead of him there, read it. Ooh, he's dead close, isn't he?
It's a fine margin, isn't it? I mean, it was a good header, but it was very close to being disastrous.
Sure was, and well, there's one man who was grinning like a Cheshire cat at the start of play. Now he's got his hood up and looks like he's not enjoying it quite so much.
Looks like a Smurf. Looks like an unhappy Smurf.
He looks, yeah, a bit odd. Anyway, Pardew's not enjoying it, I want to said, and for 18 minutes they've not exactly been pummeled, but they're giving second best. They don't seem to have the bodies in midfield. They've got MacArthur, Ledley, punching in there really, but they need those other guys, Townsend and Zaha, to drop back a little bit deeper and get involved, I think. Yeah,
if you want a barometer of the game, what happens in the middle thirds, not ever a bad indicator. Palace are absolutely running the middle third.
West Ham.
Yes, West Ham are absolutely running, beg your pardon.
Yeah, it was one of the two. Anyway, Cresswell flicks it forward. Was there a little handball? Maybe, but the ball drops back to him. Nice little bit of interchange there with Pye. Can he play Cresswell in round the back? Yes, he can. Cross comes in. A chance. A goal. Wow. West Ham have been fantastic. Is that Lanzini? Just stabbing it in. It is the number 10. And you know what? They've been the better team. We've been banging on about it, and they've got the goal that they deserved.
Yeah, long-range five-a-side stuff. It's so simple when it works, isn't it? Pye out to Cresswell. Cresswell left foot. Time to pick across, slides it in low. Lanzini's angled running across the face of goal isn't tracked, and he just dinks it in first time, first touch. Really simple stuff. Good work between Cresswell and Payet to just draw the defenders in between them. Series of little 1-2s, but thereafter it just looked so simple.
I tell you what, it's really bad defending between Zaha and Punchin there. They've just allowed Payet to walk past them, get goal side, and then when he gets the return ball from Cresswell, it's an easy ball back to Cresswell. Therefore, it's an easy cross. Lanzini gets goal side of it. His man MacArthur to tap it in. So let's have that big recap. In Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace 0, West Ham 1 is not a surprise. The Hammers have been the better team. In Cresswell, they've had the outlet player, wing back, left-hand side, and he keeps creeping over the halfway line. They don't know what to do with him. He had a lovely give and go with Dimitri Payet. Again, lots of time on the ball. Disappointed with the marking between MacArthur, Zaha, and Punchin. Nobody laid a glove really on Payet, and Cresswell's ball across the face of goal was delicious enough that Lanzini, he got goal side of his man, Joe Ledley, was able just to side foot that into the back of the net. But it's the start and the goal that West Ham deserve.
I wouldn't disagree with a word of that. They have been markedly the more impressive of the two sides and are looking to continue with the momentum. But at the moment, Palace have just drawn breath and had a word with themselves and are looking to get back into things. Oh, and there's a little clip on the far side as Andros Townsend goes to ground. I think that was Md.Robeul's snappy challenge, which has actually drawn the first yellow card of the game. That's a little bit harsh. I think that's Noble's first foul. Maybe Punchin had gone past him. I think there was an aspect of you're not going you can take the ball past me, but you're not going past me with it in the challenge from Noble, and he's not making too much of a fuss about the yellow card. Well, take him on for the team from here on in is all West Ham need to do. They've got the noses in front. They've been markedly the better of the two sides. The important thing is that they don't let off in any way. Oh, and then Palace will sling the ball in towards the head of Benteke. Looks to nod it back across goal, and it takes a ricochet. Could have gone anywhere. West Ham are a little fortunate that it falls to a white shirt, and they're able to thrash it clear.
I'll tell you what, for me, I think they need to score at least 2 goals to get at least a point from this. They're not secure at the back. If anything, that goal has come maybe a little bit too quick. They've got to be careful that having scored, and they don't just sit and put themselves on the back foot, having made such a great start. It's a tendency to down tools. Well, we've done half the job, and let's sit back. You see it time and time again.
Yeah, well, I think the lovely thing about West Ham is that they're one of those lovely sides that have to defend by attacking. Because if they try and sit back and hold, there's nothing there. There's just a really soft underbelly. They've got to keep on the front foot. They've got to keep pressing for more goals and more goals. That's all their personnel really allow them to do. Although so far they've managed to hold Palace at arm's length really quite comfortably.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, we'll pat ourselves on the back because we were talking about the draw, West Ham being your best option. You know, those who are listening, maybe you've had a bit of a pop. Secondly, an unchanged side. When I've just seen Pardew talking to Townsend and having to explain to him what he needs, I looked at their team and I think, surely, however you cut it, Yohan Cabaye is your best midfielder, but he's on the bench today. I don't quite sort of understand that really. Their team looks to have a decent balance about it, so I'm not going to harp on too much. When it doesn't work out for Palace, you find that Benteke gets isolated. And I was saying, I think Townsend and Zaha have got to drop a little bit deeper in order to win that midfield battle, which they're losing at the moment. So it's like a numbers game, but he seems, with his formation, if he wants to win the numbers game, then he loses his striker all by himself. So I don't quite know what he does today, really.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think you're right that Zaha and Townsend need to drop and solve the immediate problem of the wing-backs, although Antonio's not got too far forwards down the right-hand side so far, but certainly Cresswell's having almost the freedom of the park, isn't he, when he goes forwards? So they need to redress that. As to what happens thereafter, well, worry about that when we get to it, I think. Otherwise, they're just going to get swamped as things stand.
Yes,
there's a definite sense that one size does not fit for all occasions in the Premier League anymore. We've kind of the league's better than that.
Yeah, I think so. Managers maybe need to be better than that as well. We haven't seen much of Antonio, but he breaks away. Apparently, there's a foul. You're listening to independent off-tube studio commentary, and it's been a pretty good game so far. West Ham have been the better team, and they've also grabbed themselves a goal. My name's John Hogan, and now it's going to be Will Turner who will take us through to half-time.
Yeah, it's teaming down is one thing we should add. So expect there to be a few slidey, skiddy, long-range tackles made during the course of the piece, which may have a bearing on proceedings. It's a day ripe for yellow cards, is what I'm saying. Anyway, Palace with the ball in from left to right, looking to find James Tompkins on the far stick, but Winston Reid is up and gets the little flick-away header in there first. I do think that Palace's best bet is going to be that aerial route, looking for Benteke and the second ball, or a centre-half and the second ball. They at the moment, don't look to have the wherewithal to play through a West Ham side who don't have to overcommit now, and may well be looking to shore up a few gaps. Anyway, corner kick. Punchin takes it left-footed. It's hovering over the penalty spot. Not real any great zest or pace about the ball in, which made it easy for the defenders to get in position, and they duly did, and sent it back towards halfway. But it's back to Punchin now on the Palace right. Ball clipped in. It's gone over the head of the first man, and there's half a chance that Lanzini will be able to bring it clear, but he can't, and Palace will rebuild down the left-hand side, and then there's an off-the-feet challenge there. Was that Md.Robeul who's taking a risk, having got himself into the referee's book already in the piece? He took ball rather than man on that occasion, which is just as well. If he'd missed the ball then, he was set for the proverbial early wash. Meanwhile, Payet does well until he tries to slide the ball forwards towards Zazar, and I think rakes his studs in the turf as he does so, and doesn't really connect with the pass.
The rain's having a real effect on it. I mean, people, if you go heading towards the ball and somebody just tickles it away from you, you're gone. You're not coming back. You can't put the brakes on, can you? And so it's having a right old effect. It must be absolutely lashing down there. And we're just seeing a spit of rain come up every time the ball is passed. So it's more than made the pitch slick. It's having a real effect now.
Yeah, I think so. It's just watching it roll. There are some patches where it just seems to slow a little bit as well. So the pitch is definitely a factor. For better or for worse, it's the same for both teams. As Palace are trying to construct something from halfway, they're making a decent fist of it, but they're still 40 yards from goal. They found Punchin, who's running out towards the right-hand side. He changes direction, pulls back in field. It's Townsend, slides the ball in towards Benteke at the far stick. Can't find him again. It's well defended. Is that Kouyaté who's gone down, having had a bit of a whack?
Elbow from Benteke in his temple there. I thought, for me, it looked purposeful and maybe should be a yellow card. We've already seen the elbows flying around, but let's take another look at it. Yeah, for me, he's leading with an elbow into Kouyaté's temple there.
It's a leading arm rather than a flailing elbow, but there is a lot of arm about Benteke.
Yeah, it's a style thing, that isn't it? It's poor. It's a poor style. I think he knows he's not on the trajectory with the ball, and he just thinks, right, take this elbow in your face, see how you deal with it, you know. To
be fair to Kouyaté, he took the elbow and then made the header. He did pretty well there. Playing it one-to-one against Benteke is not easy, but far from it, and it's certainly not a comfortable or lightweight afternoon.
You can think of better things to do. Rain lashing down, and somebody like Benteke.
He's a great big unit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so strong in the air.
Hammers go long, make nothing of it, and Kouyaté's having his duel, an aerial duel, this time with Zaha, which he finds a bit more comfortable and wins, but Palace pick up the second ball, looking to work it into a dangerous area. They found Townsend, who's seeing as much of the ball as anybody else. Little step over, inside the box, dinks it towards the far stick. Where's Benteke? He's not there. The ball's gone over him. Robeul comes back and makes the last gasp header to just pick the ball away from Zaha.
Watch Cresswell here. What he's saying is, right, well, you're not going to cross it with your right foot. We know you're going to cut in and have a shot with your left. That's what you always do. And instead, that's brilliant from Townsend, because he just thinks, right, I'll take you on and stick one up the far post. That was a great ball from Townsend and great play from him.
Yeah, all of a sudden, Palace are eking their way back into the contest. Still a goal down at home, however, as the corner kick from the left is on its way, looking towards a cluster of bodies around the penalty spot. The Hammers have dealt with that once again. 3 central defenders notionally on the park, serving them well on that occasion. As Payet goes short to Obiang, he'll likewise exchanged short-range passes as the Hammers look to play their way out of their own half. Benteke is buzzing around, but to no great effect. And so the Hammers are happy to wait and bide their time. And Cresswell will trot forwards and offers himself down the left-hand side. He's checked as Robeul's looking for more long-range options. And the Hammers are quite happy to just chew up the clock as much as anything else and wait for Antonio to make a dart down the right-hand side. He's done that, the furthest man forward, so shrugs off the left full-back, flips the ball in towards the penalty spot, looking for Zazar. The ball's just not quite got the elevation to beat the defence on that occasion. Palace will look to clear. Punch out to Martin Kelly, the left full-back. He'll roll it forwards to Benteke. Neat turn, but he's sliding, and there's just a hint of a weight of pressure on his back that sends him going to ground. Winston Reid is penalised, and the rain continues to bucket down. Look how far Benteke slides. It's one of those days.
It is, yeah, and you know, they're just showing us the pitch, and it's cutting up badly.
Is that hail that we're looking at? As well?
It could well be, but the rain absolutely coming down in bucket loads, and the ball not necessarily always getting through it. Most of the pitches now drain beautifully, don't they? But you know, and the game shouldn't be called off anything like it, even if it continues like that. But it's certainly having its effect. The ball is very slippery now. We've seen players losing their balance, and that could lead to a goal or two.
Yeah, Palace have wasted the free kick straight into the gloves of Adrian. The Hammers will look to build again, although a little bit clumsily. Lost their way. Ooh, neat little step over in the middle of the park there. Was that? I'm trying to see who that was.
McCarthy it might have been.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's come from an unsuspected source.
Yeah, I mean, he's going box to box this season, and he's done a bit more of that. Ledley sort of sticks behind him. I think he's got a bit more of a roaming brief, and you know, some good skill by him there.
Yep, nice. He's got the ball back again down the left-hand side. Runs into a dead end, however. The Hammers toss it up towards halfway and get it back as it's headed back towards them. There's a recognisably English aspect to some of the play through the middle third. But here come the visitors once again. Cresswell in space on the left-hand side. Shapes to cross once. We'll let it go the second time around. And again. Is that Delaney? Again with it.
That was Ledley.
No, it's Ledley this time with it. A thrashed clearance. It's gone out for a corner that he'd no idea where that was going.
No, it's right. I mean, he's sliced that wildly hit.
he's looking towards us as we're over the right back slot. And it's...
Well, you could argue he's dealt with it in some respects.
Yeah, good enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time as a defender. Yet another West Ham corner kick. Antonio's up there. It's still chucking it